Browns coach was asked if Shedeur Sanders will start second preseason game. Browns coach was asked if Shedeur Sanders will start second preseason game originally appeared on The Spun. The Cleveland Browns kicked off their preseason with style last Friday, starting fifth-round pick Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. Despite not having many first-team reps under his belt, he absolutely delivered under pressure. Sanders finished his preseason debut with 138 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. The Colorado product also had 19 rushing yards against the Carolina Panthers. Although he could have called out his naysayers following the team's 30-10 victory, he chose to take the high road during his post-game press conference. He even gave his coaching staff and teammates all the credit for his performance. "I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable, so that's what it is," Sanders said. "I got pockets of finding my rhythm, and I got to get into that quicker, regardless of anything. But overall, I felt like me out there, and I couldn't do it, of course, without the time. I couldn't do it without the play calling. I couldn't do without anything." After watching Sanders pick apart the Panthers, NFL fans are hoping to see more of him this Saturday against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, there's no guarantee he'll get a ton of snaps. Speaking to reporters this week, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski was asked if Sanders will start against the Eagles. He refused to name a starter for his team's second preseason game. "I'm not there on the game itself. By Thursday, I'll have a better feel for the game and how we're going to handle that, and I'll update you guys. But not there yet," Stefanski said. A few moments later, Stefanski was asked if he knows who'll start Week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, he was unwilling to commit to one of his quarterbacks. "I think you take everything into account, but we'll see how we get through this week, and then make a decision on when to make a decision. It's possible Cleveland will want to see Dillon Gabriel under center before they give the keys to the offense back to Sanders." The rookie from Oregon returned to 11 drills earlier this week. Browns coach was asked if Shedeur Sanders will start second preseason game, first appeared on The Spun on August 13, 2025. This story was originally reported by The Spun on August 13, 2025, where it first appeared. Kevin Stefanski blinked once, the fluorescent lights catching in his eyes. Reporters leaned forward, pens poised, lenses focusing. Somewhere behind the scrum, a veteran camera operator whispered, "Money time," to no one in particular. Stefanski offered the kind of smile Cleveland has learned to pass over the years. Not a grin, not a grimace, more of a coach's smirk, the look you make when you're holding a good hand and don't mind the table guessing. "We'll see," he said, which was the football equivalent of a magician saying, "Watch closely." Of course, no one wanted to watch closely. They wanted clarity. The city had been humming since Friday night, since the rookie quarterback with the name and the nerve and the neon composure walked onto the field and made the preseason feel less like a rehearsal and more like a revelation. Shedeur Sanders had cut through reads like he'd been living in the playbook, slid in the pocket like he'd paid rent there. The passes hissed, the huddle leaned, and for 3 drives the future seemed to show up early, clean-shaven and calm. Stefanski knew what it meant. He could feel it in the way the questions were asked now. Open-palmed, urgent, fandom disguised as journalism. The Browns have had their epics and their ghosts. Their quarterbacks counted like birthdays. But there was something different about this one. The way the ball left his hand like it was in on a secret. The way receivers came back to the huddle with that little laugh that means, "Yeah, we might be onto something." "Is there any reason not to?" another reporter pressed. "Lots of reasons, lots of variables," Stefanski said, ticking the cliches like yard markers. "Health, game plan, reps, rotation. We have a process." He loved that word. Process. A word you could stack between you and a decision. A word with furniture in it, sturdy enough to sit on while the storm blows by. Across the facility, Shedeur sat on a training table lacing his shoes, phone face down, a gift he'd given himself after college. Moments of silence before the noise. He'd already watched the tape twice, once like a quarterback, once like a critic. He wanted the first seam route back. Not because it was off, but because it was perfect, and being perfect too early is a dangerous habit. He wanted the low red zone check down back, because it was technically correct and emotionally conservative. But the touchdown curl? He didn't want it back at all. He wanted to frame it. A running back slapped his shoulder as he passed. "They're chanting your name out there, man." And Shedeur grinned. He knew what attention was. He'd grown up with it singing around him like stadium lights. But this was different. This was a locker room full of men with families and futures. You don't win them with a surname. You win them with timing and toughness, with silence in the chaos. You win them by getting up after a blindside and saying nothing except again. Back at the podium, a veteran beat writer tried an old trick. If he starts, what do you want to see? Stefanski considered the conditional, a thin slice of permission. Command, he said. Clean operation. Situational awareness. It's preseason, but the situation is always real. It sounded like coach speak, but it wasn't just noise. Command was the hidden syllabus of every August. How do you huddle? How do you break it? What do you do when the ex-receiver forgets the motion and the play clock gasps? Where do your eyes go when the mic walks up and suddenly the front looks like a funhouse mirror? Preseason isn't about winning the game. It's about proving the moment can't move you. A reporter tossed the question toward the heart of it. Does the locker room want him to start? There was a flicker, barely. Stefanski's politeness is NFL certified, but he's old school enough to bristle at the idea that votes make lineups. The locker room wants to win, he said. They trust we'll put them in the best position to do that. After the scrum dissolved, after the recorders were clicked off, and the last boom mic floated away like a migratory bird, the head coach walked the corridor where the walls were lined with pictures of Sunday smiles and winter grit. He let the hum of the place steady him. You don't rush August, he told himself. You build it. The second preseason game is a paragraph in a very long book. But he also knew something else. Some paragraphs are the ones people dog-ear. On the practice field, the receivers were finishing a sideline drill, tapping toes like ballerinas in cleats. Shedeur jogged to the hash marks for a 2-minute install. The cadence was quicksilver, the ball out before the concept even landed. The line adjusted, shoulders angling like a school of fish avoiding a shark. There's a sound to a quarterback who has it. The soft thwop of the ball arriving where it should, the absence of panic in all the wrong places. Again, he said, and they ran it again. The rep was cleaner. The second rep always is when the guy under center knows why the first one wasn't. Inside,